Well, I would have started this like 5 minutes ago if I didn't have to wait for my cat to use the restroom, to put it nicely. Like I put my cats in a room in another room while I do this, so you don't hear scratching or meowing in the background. But I literally stood there for 5 minutes to wait for my cat to use the litter box, and yeah. So if that ain't love, I don't know what is. All right, we're gonna get into it. Um, Yeah. What was it? NFL Week 11? NFL Week 11. We still have one more game left of this actually pretty good week. We talked a little bit about it last week and some of the matchups that were there. I just want to take a look here. Yeah, NFL Week 11. Um, I think my favorite game. I mean, Bills cheat. There were so many good games, man. And I was kind of right about Monday Night Football. Okay, was kind of wrong on Sunday Night Football. That ended up being a great game. Um, Something's wrong with the Bengals, man. There is something wrong with the Bengals because it's not Joe Burrow, it's not Jamar Chase, it's literally everybody else. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I have all the time in the world to watch every single game. So I'm gonna kind of go off PFF grades, kind of go off like my draft scouting knowledge, kind of go off like general idea of who people are. So I'm going to take a look at the Bengals lineup across the board. I'm pretty sure they know or they have a lot of people hurt. Okay, so we got DJ Turner, who I love DJ Turner coming out. I think it is a big mistake to play him at corner. I understand he has like insane speed. But if I take a look here, he came out 2023. Yeah, he came out 2023. If I can find it here. My main reasoning behind this is I just kind of realized that his skill set as a safety is just unmatched. And I really think he can go from like pretty good corner to like one of the best corners or one of the best safeties in the league. I can't seem to find it here. Well, the notes that I had is just his ability to flip his hips, his ability to just like crash down on the ball, um, his just ability to read plays and make plays on the ball. And you can kind of see that yesterday as a corner. He saved a few plays. I think he definitely can play corner, and that's fine. But you have like an all-pro caliber player at safety. Um, if he can make plays like that at corner, imagine if he's like playing center field as a free safety. Like there's absolutely no way you can bomb it deep on them. He's gonna see it every single time. Not saying he'll be able to tackle like Ed Reed, but like he can make plays on the ball like Ed Reed or Earl Thomas. I think that highly of him, and I really think they should move him. But we look here. Cam Taylor-Britt's not playing super well, but he's kind of a scrappy guy. I remember on the broadcast of Sunday Night Football, I was watching it a little bit, and they talked about how Mike Hilton is a great player in the run game, but man-to-man coverage, he really struggles. I could definitely see that, especially yesterday. And just the way that the Chargers play with their receivers, like it's really gonna be like you're gonna kind of have to play man coverage how much they run the ball. So you're gonna want to load the box, make sure they can't run the ball. Then they're gonna play one on one, and yeah, if your best corner basically can't play man to man coverage, then yeah, it ain't gonna go well. So I guess just let's look at the Bengals in general. So they drafted Amarius Mims, who, if I remember correctly, might have been a little high for my taste, but he's playing all right. Cody Ford, I didn't mind him coming out. The fact that he's playing tackles a little, He seems more like a guard to me. Ted Karras isn't bad, but he just happens to be playing like the worst football of his career. So, I mean, even Alex Kappa, like, it's got to be coaching. Like, Joe Burrow is playing like this in spite of his offensive line. And then people want to trash him. If he doesn't have Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, they're like, well, Joe Burrow ain't it. I don't know, bro. It's kind of crazy how many people are like quick to hop on Dog and Joe Burrow, which is kind of crazy to me. So if you don't have an offensive line, if you don't have a great run game, which I know Chase Brown's been doing all right, but you don't have a great run game, all you have is star wide receivers, really, really good wide receivers. Like, that's literally the only thing you can rely on. And then once the one thing that you can rely on is gone, and now you're playing bad, then you're dogging that. It's just crazy to me. I know great quarterbacks should be able to do a good amount with not a lot, but I don't necessarily doubt the talent on this team necessarily, but I doubt more of the coaching. And it's weird because I like Zach Taylor in a way because he simplifies things, but sometimes I wonder if they're too simplified. And I think it's great for like a young team, but I think it's getting to the point where Joe Burrow knows how to play football. He's a vet at this point. Like, you just need to get him protected. Like, you can't tell me if Joe Burrow didn't have like 80% of what the Lions offensive line has, no matter who else you put out there, he's not going to thrive. Like, I just find that hard to believe. So the time to dog on Joe Burrow is not now. It's definitely not now. So if we look at, I want to see Joe Burrow's stats. I think I saw this on X. Because he's got 3,028 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's like MVP level. And how is your quarterback doing that well? And your record's what? 4-7? Yeah, 4-7. So let's take a look at the Bengals games, right? Bengals 2024 season here. Let's take a look. So we've got, okay, they lost to the Patriots 16-10. Okay, not great. Not great at all. Wow, I'm scrolling down too far here. I am not your guy for quality just smooth transitions here. Okay, so Patriots beat them 16-10. Chiefs beat them 26-25. Redskins beat them. I'm going to do everything I can to not say Commanders. I'll talk about them later, too. I'm reading this book that really kind of, I feel like, gives me an insight on what's going on with the Redskins. Okay, so Redskins beat them 38-33. No shame in that. Panthers, they beat 34-24. You're giving up 24 points to the Panthers. That should say something. Then we've got, what else we got? Okay, Ravens, Bengals. Ravens won 41-38 in overtime. Okay, I get it. Best offense in football, supposedly. But, I mean, it's hard to win games when your defense gives up 41 points. Bengals 17-7. Okay. Bengals. I didn't even say Giants. Bengals Giants 17-7. Bengals win. Bengals beat the Browns 21-14. They lose to the Eagles 37-17. Which I know I'm not doing great in-depth analysis here. Let's take a look at this game against the Eagles. Okay, so Joe Burrow was 26-37 for 234, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a great game by any means. Not terrible. I haven't seen the actual film, so I guess I'd have to look more into that to give more of an in-depth analysis. But, okay, 12 carries, 32 yards for Chase Brown. That's 2.7 yards a carry. Yikes. Your leading receiver is Mike Gesicki, so obviously they're doing a great job on everybody else. Jermaine Burton, man. There's some stuff going on with him. What's going on with him? Jermaine Burton. Didn't he like literally walk out? He missed practice. Is he just mad that critical mistake led to inactive status? Okay. So this is from Yahoo Sports. Chris Rowling wrote this. Sunday was supposed to be the breakout showcase for Cincinnati Bengals rookie wide receiver Jermaine Burton. Instead, a massive mistake on Saturday led to his being a healthy scratch on Sunday. According to NFL's Ian Rappaport, Burton missed Saturday's walkthrough before the Week 9 game against the Las Vegas Raiders, leading to him being a healthy scratch. Burton was a massive part of the game plan going into Sunday with T. Higgins out. He also got some very public support from Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and others during the week. So the Bengals felt the need to punish Burton like this speaks volumes to the thin ice he was already on and lack of good reason for missing whack. I don't know about that. The Bengals felt the need to punish Burton like this speaks volumes to the thin ice he was already on and lack of good reason for missing a walkthrough. I don't know if that speaks to like him being on thin ice. It's the NFL. Like if you miss a walkthrough, you ain't playing unless you're like Joe Burrow, unless you're the man, unless you're Lawrence Taylor, unless you're Tom Brady. You ain't missing them. Players missing Saturday walkthrough is nearly unheard of. It's especially jarring in the case of Burton, who flashed immense upside on the field. Dude, this guy's legit. I had a first-round grade on him. I should see the exact grade that I have on him. I should look. 2024 draft rankings. Man, I'm getting excited for the draft coming up. And I hate to say that because every time I get excited for it, and it's like too early in the season. And I just feel like I don't love football. I just love the draft, but that's not true. Okay, so Jermaine Burton, I had him as a mid-first round grade. I actually had him above Malik Neighbors, which could sound crazy. I could be wrong, but I don't know, man. I like Jalen Polk coming out too. I just think they both know how to play a wide receiver really well. And I had really high hopes for him. So when I saw that the Bengals drafted him, I'm like, oh, geez, this is gonna be scary. And then I'm like, T. Higgins is definitely gone after this year. He's been playing amazing this year, according to his PFF grade, but I know he's been out a lot. I don't know. T. Higgins just like doesn't produce the way you would think. But maybe it's just because he's a 1 and he's not playing as a 1 and he's supposed to be a 1. But it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I guess kind of looking here at the teams, Bills would be cool for him. I don't know if the Bills want to pay a wide receiver though, because like they just got rid of Diggs for the same reason. And I like what the Bills are doing, man. I really like what the Bills are doing with their wide receiver. It's very Chiefs-like with their wide receiver room. So if we take a look here, I love Khalil Shakir. He's on my fantasy team. He's so consistent, dude. Because they just got a lot of like solid receivers with specific skill sets, and I feel like they're really catered to, like their offense is catered to their specific skill sets. Because they've got a lot of really good names. So obviously Amari Cooper, who's like a great 2, a solid 1, and in a offense where you don't necessarily need a star wide receiver. He's perfect for them. You got Khalil Shakir, who's a great slot wide receiver. You can move him around in the slot. He can get open, find the soft zone. He can take screen passes. He can't break a lot of tackles, but he's got good speed. Matt Collins is a physical freak. He's a huge dude that you can throw curl routes to or throw like 50-50 short balls. I wouldn't say he's like a deep ball guy, but he's definitely a contested catch guy, whether that be curls or 50-50 balls down the sideline or down the middle of the field. Curtis Samuel has been really surprising. I really liked him coming out. He just hasn't lived up to what you think he could be, but he is a game changer. He can really make huge plays down the field. He's got great speed. Keon Coleman, 50-50 guy. Red zone and deep ball. That's your guy. KJ Hamler, kind of like a Curtis Samuel. Like, hasn't met expectations, but really, really fast. Playmaking ability. Deion Kane had a really good season, his rookie season. He was showing out in camp and then, like, tore his ACL. I think he's more of like a 50-50 ball guy, kind of like downfield guy. But you look at it here, and it's just like you see a lot of guys with different skill sets, and you're not necessarily relying on one guy. And that's a great thing for Josh Allen. Josh Allen should have a great offensive line. They should be able to run the ball with whoever running back they have and him. And then they should have a myriad of wide receivers that can just like fit certain skill sets in certain aspects of the offense and just let Josh Allen dink and dunk, throw dimes, set up receivers for good plays, and you can win. And they just beat the Chiefs. And that game was fun to watch. Their defense showed up, and that 4th and 2 run that Josh Allen had, man, that's been obviously he's on my fantasy team, so I was freaking out. But like when you look at the kind of player that he is, he should be winning Super Bowls by now. And I know Mahomes is like probably better, but man, Josh Allen should at least have one Super Bowl. And I was kind of skeptical of last season, but I really like what they've done this season. And it's like you want to rely on Josh Allen, but you don't want to rely on Josh Allen and then just Stephon Diggs. You want to have a good foundation with specific skill sets at the skill positions, and then you want to have Josh Allen do his thing. He will make the players around him better. He certainly will. And I really like who they have. I mean, Ray Davis, I really like coming out of the draft. He's just a little older, so I had him lower. He's already 25 as a rookie, so that's crazy. James Cook, not a big fan of him. I think he's probably one of the most overrated running backs in the league. I feel like he's more of like I wouldn't say he's better than a change of pace back, but he definitely wouldn't be my starting running back. I think Ray Davis or even Frank Gore Jr. would be a great like 3rd running back or 4th running back that can kind of come in and share some of the carries. That can do like a lot of different things pretty well. They don't do anything great, but they do a lot of different things pretty well, which is solid for like a backup running back or a 3rd running back. James Cook is really good receiver. He's good in the open field. That's why he seems a little more like a change of pace back. I know they have Ty Johnson, but if it were up to me, like, let's see here. 2025 NFL free agents. Because I don't think you can bring a rookie running back in there and expect him to be the guy. It's just not it. Let's look at the running backs in 2025 who I think James Conner would be perfect for the Bills. Can catch the ball out of the backfield if need be, but he's just a hard-nosed guy. He's going to run 3-4 yards. He's just going to run it down your throat. That's exactly what they need. Najee Harris is also one of them. I would much rather have James Conner, but Najee Harris is around that mold. Let's see here. Yeah. No, if I'm the Bills next offseason, win Super Bowl or not, which I don't know if they will. I guess I'd have to look more into it and really think about it. But James Conner's my top target, and he's probably going to be like almost 30, but I wouldn't care. I'd sign him for like 1 or 2 years. He'd be my main guy. I'd have him and James Cook as my 1-2 punch, and then you can have Ray Davis and Frank Gore come in and eat up some of those carries, do a few things pretty well, while those two are resting, while James Cook and James Conner are resting. We got the James duo. I think that would be really solid. So yeah, but I guess I'm just totally like a stream of consciousness. I feel like stream of consciousness podcaster here. Yeah, I guess going back to the Bengals. We're all the way back to the Bengals. I feel like I watched that interview with Trump and Joe Rogan, and he goes, I weave stories. I weave them and I come back. I promise. I come back. And I'm just like I can relate to that so hard. And then Joe's like, "Where's this weave going? Are you coming back?" That was really funny cuz I feel like that's what people think when I talk, but this weave is coming back for show. Okay. Yeah, so the Bengals are a mess. I don't know, man. I think Jamar Chase is mad. Joe Burrow is probably mad, but he won't ever show it. Dude doesn't like to talk about his feelings. Um, Jamar Chase is like, yo, you ask Zach Taylor. I'm just out here playing, bro. I don't know what's going on. And which is the right thing to say. Like, I get, like, not throwing your team under the bus and being a good teammate in the media, but also at the same time, it's like, why are you guys asking me this? I don't know. I don't call plays for the defense. I'm out here trying. He's not dogging anybody. He's just like, ask them. If someone asks, like, say, Jamar Chase, like, didn't try on a play or gave up on a play, and everyone was really mad, and someone asked the coach, what do you think Jamar was thinking on that play? What do you think he'd say? Well, I can't speak for Jamar. You're going to have to ask him. That's exactly what they'd say. So let's be fair here. Let's just be fair. Yeah, what were some of the other good games this week? I didn't get a chance to watch Ravens Steelers, but I wish I should. I wish I did. 'Cause that looked like a fun game. I was right. We did a breakdown of the Ravens and the Steelers. We did a breakdown. I said Steelers are going to win this game. So let's look at the stats. Versus Ravens 2024. Steelers versus Ravens. Hear the typing in the background. Okay. So, the Steelers won 18-16. And I think, did they just get all field goals? Wow, they got all field goals. Yeah, dude. This is his wheelhouse. This is Mike Tomlin's wheelhouse. Like, amazing. And that's how you beat the Ravens because, okay, let's look at Lamar's stat line. And just based off stat line, again, I didn't fully watch the game. Don't have time to watch every single game. Hopefully I can get to a point where I can watch every single game. And this is my job. And I don't have to work a full-time job other than this. And, yeah, we'll have more in-depth stuff for you. So make sure to share. If you want more in-depth stuff, share. Getting mad at the audience. Okay, 16 of 33 for 207 yards, a touchdown, and an interception for Lamar Jackson. So his completion percentage is basically 50%, which is not great. 207 yards, not great. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, fine. Derrick Henry, they were probably playing from ahead for most of the game. So if I look here at the box score, 3-0 at the end of the first quarter, 9-7 at the end of the first half. Then you're basically looking at 15-10, and then 18-16. So the Ravens almost closed out. I think they lost on a 2-point conversion attempt, which is wow. Yeah. But that's what the Steelers want to do. Because Derrick Henry, 13 carries, 65 yards, 5 yards a carry, and a touchdown. If you can get Derrick Henry to only carry the ball 13 times, you're going to win the game. Lamar Jackson, 4 carries, 46 yards, 11.5 yards a carry. If you can get Lamar to only run the ball 4 times a game, you're going to win the game. And if he's with the fact that he's passing the way he is. We've seen it before. If Isaiah Likely is the one going off, the Ravens might lose the game. Zay Flowers, because Likely had 4 catches, 75 yards. Zay Flowers, 2 catches, 39 yards, a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 2 catches, 30 yards. Justice Hill, 4 catches, 28 yards. Like, they did well. They did really well. Okay, let's take a look here. So, at the Steelers, Russell Wilson, 23 of 36 for 205 yards and an interception. Yeah, not great. Not great at all. But you carried the ball 18 times with Najee, 63 yards, 3.5 carries, or 3.5 yards a carry. That's what you're gonna get out of Najee. He ain't gonna do 4 yards a carry. He's just not. You got Jalen Warren, 9 carries, 41 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. Justin Fields came in, 2 carries, 17 yards, 8.5 yards a carry. So you're running the ball decently effectively. You got George Pickens, 8 catches, 89 yards. Darnell Washington's in it a little bit. So this is the ugly game that they wanted to play. Because the Ravens had more total yards. They had more passing yards and more rushing yards and more yards per play. But the Steelers had a few more first downs. The Ravens were even more efficient on third down. The thing is, the Steelers had 20 more total plays than them. Time of possession was the big thing. 36 minutes and 22 seconds versus Ravens having 23 minutes and 38 seconds. And this is what old school football looks like. And it wins. It really wins. It's not always the prettiest, but it's going to win. It's definitely going to win. It requires a lot less mistakes. You have to be a little more perfect, but it wins. And I have a easy time believing that if the rules went back to what they were in the 70s or the 80s for quarterbacks, this would win pretty consistently. I really do think that. But instead, they want to change it to high school or college football where the quarterback matters most, which actually it's mainly just high school football because even in college, you can tell the quarterback doesn't matter most. Yeah. So that's that on that game. I guess let's go to something I know a little more about. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Detroit 52-6. This is scary, guys. This is really scary. This is without Sam Laporta, to my chagrin, because I have him on fantasy. And, of course, it's like, okay, we're just going to go crazy when Sam Laporta's not there. Like, we can't get him a touchdown. That's crazy. The Bears, I won't fully talk about the Bears this podcast because all I do is talk about the Bears. You would think I was a Bears fan or something. Packers won on a blocked field goal, which is like annoying because I don't like the Packers, but that's hilarious. The Bears just can't. They just can't do it, man. They just can't. Okay, let's look at. Okay, we got box score. Okay. The Colts beat the Jets. I'm happy for Anthony Richardson, man. 20 of 30, 272 yards and a touchdown. He's also rushing. He's got 10 carries, 32 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's the game that you want from Anthony Richardson. Even with, yikes, Jonathan Taylor had 24 carries, 57 yards, 2.4 yards a carry. I don't think their offensive line is the same as everyone thinks it used to be. Because everyone just assumes, because the talent that they have, that the Colts still have a great offensive line. But I can go and look at PFF grades. The only good one is Quentin Nelson right now. Braden Smith, kind of. Otherwise, Gonsalves. Is that how you say it? Gonçalves. Um, he's doing all right. But Quentin Nelson, he had a bad year the past 3 years in terms of PFF grade. But he's starting to bounce back a little bit. I think people just assume because they have Quentin Nelson um, and Braden Smith that they're just a good offensive line. But the reality is they're not. And Anthony Richardson doesn't necessarily react to pressure the best in the way you'd want him to. You think because he's a big quarterback, he would just stand there a little more. Because when you can run like that your whole life, I get it. You're going to want to run pretty quickly. And the running isn't necessarily the problem. It's like the fight or flight reaction of it without the plan or just without the training on it. Because I feel like he just needs to train a little more on like what solid scrambling looks like and what it really means. Because Josh Downs did good. Alec Pierce did good. Michael Pittman did all right. But that's the thing, like, I think, like, I didn't even start Josh Downs in fantasy because I'm like, oh, Anthony Richardson's back. Can't rely on passing at all. And he didn't do bad. And the funny thing is that the Jets and the Colts are like the exact same team. They really are. Like, quarterback problems, decent offensive line, but not great. Great running back. Good wide receiver weapons. The Jets obviously have an edge on that, but then you got a really good defense for the most part. And they just can't put it together. Neither team can put it together, but the Colts is a little more graceful because you don't have Aaron Rodgers. You've got a second-year quarterback who's in a lot of ways basically a rookie because he was hurt. But Anthony Richardson is legit. I had him as my top prospect. And I know that sounds crazy, but we all knew he was raw coming out. We all knew it had to be the right situation. But that's the thing. It has to be the right situation. I thought the Colts would be. But they need to invest more in their offensive line and stop drafting wide receivers. You have plenty of wide receivers. Like seriously. It's kind of getting out of hand. Let's look at the Colts wide receivers. Because, yeah, it's just getting out of hand. Because I think just for so long they didn't have them. So they're like, oh, we got to get more and more and more. Invest in the offensive line. Stop drafting wide receivers. They've got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. That is your 3 wide receivers. And then you have Adonai Mitchell, who I don't necessarily love, but he's a deep threat that you can use. They also have DJ Montgomery. Oh, never mind. That's someone else who I think it. And they got Laquan Treadwell, who has made a really good career for himself despite being a total bust for the Vikings. But, hey, man, good for him. Good for him. Yeah, just stop drafting wide receivers. And I think your wide receivers will perform better. Even though Josh Downs is doing really well, I really like Josh Downs coming out. He's the quintessential slot wide receiver. He's exactly what you're looking for, with a little bit of downfield speed that might surprise you. He ain't going to play outside, but he can burn somebody. I mean, he ran a 4.5. I know that's not great, but we've seen worse 40s from a slot wide receiver, right? So Josh Downs he's your man. You drafted him at the perfect spot. He's the guy who can get 100 catches for sure. And he should be Anthony Richardson's safety blanket. Not to mention, get a tight end. Get a tight end that can actually do something. We've had 2 really good tight end classes. Was it really good tight end class? No, well, okay. More so the year before, this past year. We had a great tight end class. You need to draft a tight end. You need to help Anthony Richardson. The tight end and the slot receiver are his best friends. Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell are perfect for the outside. They have a good mixture of skill sets. Pittman's a little less of an outside guy. He is an outside guy, but he's more of like a like in breaking route, skinny post, slant. Like he's going to work the middle of the field a little more from the outside. That's how I view him. Alec Pierce is a 50-50 guy. Adonai Mitchell's a burner. So get offensive line and get a tight end. Do they have any tight ends in free agency coming up? Because maybe you don't even want to draft one. Maybe you don't want to wait. Because tight ends sometimes I don't even want to say that they take time anymore because Brock Bowers, annoying. And Sam Laporta, but not his second year. Yeah, not great. Not great options for tight end. I mean, Tyler Conklin is better than what you have. Austin Hooper, better than what you have. Zach Ertz, low key. I like him. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't have a lot of options. I would really think about looking at the draft and getting like the best tight end because you probably have money, I would assume. Maybe you don't. But offensive linemen, I mean, Zach Martin's going to be available. Cam Robinson's going to be available. Garrett Bowles, Nope Boom, Ryan Kelly, that's where Ryan Kelly, he must be hurt. Okay, you still have Ryan Kelly. That's good, but he's hurt. James Daniels, Austin Corbett, Ronnie Stanley, Tyron Smith, Kevin Zeitler, Morgan Moses, Jedrick Wills, Alaric Jackson, Trenton Brown, Will Hernandez, Nate Herbig. Like, I can just keep going. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys you can sign. You need to shore that up. Because their defense is playing pretty well. They're not amazing, but they're solid. And you have some guys who have been there for a while, and I think you just really need to shore up that offensive line. You need to run the ball more, and you just need to make it easy on him. And you're going to have yourself a really good quarterback. I had him and CJ Stroud as like a 1A, 1B kind of thing. The only reason I put Anthony Richardson ahead of him because coming out, Anthony Richardson had a lot more potential than CJ Stroud physically and just, mainly physically, but just a lot more potential. When you're looking at the kind of skill set that he has is insane, but CJ plays every aspect of the game really well. But then it becomes a discussion of, is he a system kind of guy? Or is he one of those guys that can overcome that? Because CJ isn't overwhelmingly physically talented. So when you get in this conversation happened with Joe Burrow a little bit too. The thing that gave Joe Burrow a little bit of an edge was his scrambling ability was really, really good. Like surprisingly good. CJ's obviously isn't as good. It's better than what most people assumed it would be. Because I remember people talking about him like he was a statue and like he couldn't move. And I didn't see that. I saw like decent, not bad. Then it becomes the question of like, okay, if it's not bad in college, how good is it going to be in the NFL? Which, not bad. But when you have people like Joe Burrow, when you have people like CJ Stroud, who are really good at everything and are somewhat limited physically in terms of, like, in comparison to the physical freaks that we have nowadays, like Anthony Richardson or Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels or Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, like they're physical freaks. In comparison to that, then you ask yourself, okay, is he so good at all these things that he can overcome, like, being a system quarterback? That a lot of people, what people would call a system quarterback, can he overcome that? Or is he going to be one? And then it becomes that question. So with that question, I was like, okay, CJ's the real deal, but who would I take in terms of like the highest potential? So I took Anthony Richardson over him. So I had him like 1A, 1B, 1 and 2. Which obviously I'm looking a little wrong, but we'll see over time. Because I still believe in Anthony Richardson, and the dude's scary, man. He could be legit. I don't love the whole I'm tired thing. Makes me wonder if he's got some personal stuff going on that we don't know about, especially because he's already back in the lineup. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. We will have to see. So yeah, okay. So Washington and Philly. Oh my gosh. Ah, that Thursday game. I'm sitting there screaming at we have a big projector in our room instead of a TV, and we just project it on this big white wall. I'm screaming at the wall, which is pretty typical of me. Screaming at the wall. Do not go for this. Do not go for this. You just got stuffed on 3rd and 1. Let me look back at the at the thing here, the play by play. 3rd and 2. No, 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 no. Let's see here. Play by play. Yikes. Okay. I can't find it. That's fine. From what I remember, it was 3rd and short. They got stuffed. And then they tried to run it again on 4th and 2. Instead of just kicking the field goal to go up by 1, they gave them the ball back. And yes, Elliott had missed field goals. But to me, it shouldn't matter if the kicker's missing field goals or not. If he made all of them, then you would have been whooped. You couldn't stop them all day. So then it becomes, okay, I'm going to go up by 1. And then I'm going to give them the ball back. And if they score, at least I'm within 1 score. And I'm going to have probably the last chance at getting this game, at winning this game. But then you go for it. They score, go up by 9, and you just ruin the whole game. You ruined the whole game. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I believed it once they called it, I couldn't believe it, and then I'm like, right before the hike, I'm like, they're not going to get this and they're going to lose this game. I could see it coming from a mile away. Like, I love analytics. I love spreadsheets. I love graphs. I love seeing all these things. I know I sound like a big nerd. That's okay. I love seeing trends. I love analyzing data. But I don't care. You got to watch the game. You got to see what's going on. There's no way they should have gone for that. They should have kicked the field goal. Even if they would have got it, that first down would have been like, they're so lucky. They're so stupid. They should have never done that. And this is what happened. Like, you got to play off the momentum. And yeah, the Redskins are something. Oh, that reminds me. This is what I wanted to talk about as well, a little bit. So I'm reading this book called Woke Inc. by Vivek Ramaswamy, who I know is a pretty hot name in the news right now because he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, which is more like leaving it to the states. I don't know what happened in this country where we like just don't believe in giving it to the states. Like, are we all just a bunch of communists? Like, do we want to be controlled by the government? I don't know. Like, I think we do. I think a lot of us do, and I think it's been going on for so long that we don't know what it's like not to have it, and we want it easier. Like, it's easier in some ways to be controlled by the government because you don't have to, like, really do anything on your own. You can go to so-and-so job and give a half effort, and you're like, okay, I'm still going to get paid. Whatever. Okay, I'm going to pay way more taxes than I should. But I'm still, whatever. But the freedom that comes with owning your own business or just freedom. The freedom of freedom. And this is why I don't have a lot of views. Yeah, it's just the beauty of freedom. It comes with trials and tribulations, but freedom is always the best way to go, in my opinion. But yeah, so I was reading this book, Woke Inc. Obviously, Vivek Ramaswamy is someone who he describes himself as a traitor to his own class, which you can say a lot of these people are. You can say Elon Musk is. You can say Donald Trump is. You can say Tucker Carlson is. All these prominent figures in I don't even want to say Republican Party because I don't view them as that. You could say RFK. You can say Tulsi Gabbard. You can say they're traitors to their class or their party. But to me, if you speak the truth when something is going wrong, you're not a traitor. And I think what he means is he's a traitor to them, like obviously, but in their perspective, he's a traitor. And he talks about how people would call him when he would speak out about like DEI in culture and also in companies, and how people would call him crying and his closest friends wouldn't talk to him anymore. That's crazy to me. But basically, he talked a lot about how, which to me should have seemed so obvious when I was younger, but it doesn't. I don't know why, and maybe it's because I went to college, and really what they do is they indoctrinate you. They do. I went to a liberal arts college. I had a liberal arts degree, and they really indoctrinate you. They really make you believe that white people are bad, that this is bad, that is bad, that you can't have an opinion if it's not theirs. And they can sit here and act like that's not the case. But if you're 18 years old, sitting in a classroom of 30 kids, 100 kids, 200 kids, and the authority figure is saying something, and you disagree with it, quietly or not quietly, and everyone around you is afraid to disagree because they want to fit in, that's not freedom of expression. That's not diversity of ideas. And when you go through 3 or 4 years of that, or some people's cases, 8 years, 6 years, you're being indoctrinated. You really are. And he talks about in this book how corporations have really gotten on the forefront because everyone hates big corporations. Their greed leads them to evil. Nobody likes giant corporations. On either side of the political aisle, we'll take politics out of it. We'll just talk about it morally. Nobody likes big corporations. They know they're greedy. They know they do evil things. They always have, especially ones that are in ties with political parties and government and big banks, Wall Street, all this, right? Nobody likes them. But what they've done is instead of dealing with the pressure of not hiring women or not hiring people of color in whatever way, they're getting ahead of it in 2018, 2019 by claiming to care about these causes. And what happens is people like Goldman Sachs, allegedly, whatever you want to say, allegedly, Goldman Sachs is a leader in this. And he talks about this, and he talks about how all these corporations follow suit. And this is what you've seen all the way down in the NFL and every commercial you have. He talks about how the obesity rates, Coca-Cola has a big reason to do with the obesity rates, especially in the black community. But yet, instead of changing their ingredients to make them less addictive or harmful to people, what they're going to do is just say, oh, I'm going to make some commercials about racial injustice. It's just deflecting. They don't actually care. Which, I mean, yes, you can make the argument, okay, you shouldn't be drinking, like you should be able to not drink it, and it's your own choice to drink it, but also, like, companies should not be allowed to have harmful ingredients that are addictive, or at least they should have, like, a label like cigarettes have. This is highly addictive. If you're going to drink it, it's at your own cost. But I say all this to say, in that rant on where we're at socially, I say all this to say that I think this is what happened with Washington. So, if we look here, okay, obviously, Dan Snyder was not a great owner in terms of winning. A lot of players loved him, from my understanding. this is just my opinion, and this is alleged of this is not facts. This is what I'm viewing here. So Dan Snyder is unwilling to change the Redskins name. Unwilling. Which obviously the NFL doesn't want, because the way the corporate media or corporations or society is going, they don't want the backlash. People who care that much about their own money, unfortunately, you would think if they have that much money, they would not care as much about it. But unfortunately, they do. They care way more than everybody else about it, way more than a regular person could ever imagine that they care about it. If they lose 1% of their, and I get 1% of a billion is a lot more than 1% of 100,000 or 50,000. I get it. But it's still 1% of what you have. And if you lose 1% of what you have, yes, you might be a little upset, but you're not going to try to control the whole media and society over it. That's the big difference. So, what I'm thinking, and this is my just theory, that I'm thinking that, okay, maybe the NFL didn't want Dan Snyder to keep the Redskins name, right? Maybe, allegedly, all this stuff could have happened behind the scenes, but maybe they were hiding it until they wanted to take him down. The sexual assault stuff and the stuff with Jay Gruden and all those guys and all the executives with the cheerleaders, all that. Maybe they were hiding it until they wanted to take him down. And they took him down, and then they were in a position where all these brands could force them to change it to Commanders. And that's just my opinion. That's alleged. Obviously, I don't want to get sued, of course, and leave it to these guys to sue because they're psychopaths. But, yeah, that's allegedly what I think happened. Allegedly. If that's enough allegedlys for you. So that's interesting. That would be what I think might have happened. That's just my opinion, allegedly. So, I don't know. Where does that leave me? I really think they're going to go back to the Redskins. Not necessarily because I don't think the new owners care, but I think culture is shifting. For sure. I think people are sick of it. I think the private sector, these corporations, they really are trying to lead and control and save themselves. And it's really these big corporations versus the people. It's not party. It's not Republican or Democrats. It's people who are so greedy that they will kill people. They will control society, governments, all over their own money and greed. Which I don't think money is always a bad thing, but greed is definitely a bad thing. The love of money, it says in the Bible, the love of money. It's not money itself, it is the love of money. And I don't think these people see their lack of humanity. And I'm not trying to be partisan in the fact that, I'm just saying the billionaires need to pay their fair share and blah, blah, blah. That's not my point. My point is that I'm anti-greed. And when you are going so far as to start wars across the world, control society, marketing, the news, all of these things in order to save your money and save yourself from the crimes that you have committed, and shifting what is really going on onto fake things that aren't real, that nobody cares about, that is evil. That is greed. And it can't be done anymore. And I think that's why sounds so stupid. That's why the Redskins are going back. The Redskins, I think, will go back. I follow this account on X about like bringing back the Washington Redskins. I think it's the right thing to do. I really hope they do it. But anyway, what are a few more things we can talk about here? Um, well, let's see here. Okay, Taysom Hill, dude. Oh my gosh. I saw a post on X where it was like, should we really talk about Taysom Hill being the greatest football player of all time? And that's a great question. That's really a great question because the dude had. Okay, okay, this isn't a good way to start it. Excuse me, this isn't a good way to start it. Okay, but he threw 2 passes. He completed one for 18 yards and he threw an interception. The fact that he's even passing, okay, is one thing. But then he's got 7 carries for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. His longest was 75 yards, and he had a fumble, which is just funny. This dude's literally doing everything. And then receiving, he had 8 catches for 50 yards. That's great. Did he fumble again? He fumbled twice. The dude threw an interception and fumbled twice while throwing, catching, and running the ball. This guy's insane. And I've seen him block a punt. And I've seen him return I'm pretty sure he's returned a punt for a touchdown. I think you have to seriously consider it. I think maybe this is just like what old football used to be like. Like John Newman, starting safety and quarterback and kick returner and kicker. Like, it was just really about the best athlete on the field back in the day. Like, Taysom Hill is one of those guys. Taysom Hill would have been a Hall of Famer in the 50s. For sure. First ballot. Greatest player of all time back then. For sure. He just happens to live in the modern NFL where it's like stats are so padded and it's just like it's going to be hard. But I'd put him in the Hall of Fame. Let me look at his all-time stats. Taysom Hill. All-time stats. Okay, career stats. Let's see here. I should go to ESPN. Google stats are weird. Google's weird in general. Yeah, also Google's right up there with those corporations. You guys are weird. I don't care if I'm posting this on YouTube. Like, I know you guys own YouTube and whatever, but yeah, you guys do shady stuff too. Stop trying to control stuff. Get over yourselves. You're not that important. Whatever. Fine. Take away my podcast. Take away all my money. Fine. Whatever. I'll live. I'll still record this myself, not show it to anybody and listen to it and still laugh because I'm that egotistical. Okay. All right. So, career receiving. Taysom Hill has 94 receptions for 906 yards and 11 touchdowns. That's a solid wide receiver season right there. I mean, over the span of his whole career, but still. Rushing, 432 carries for 2,427 yards. That's 5.6 yards a carry, 33 touchdowns. He's got 11 fumbles lost, but we're going to ignore that. Passing, 193 completions out of 302 attempts. That's a 63.9 completion percentage, 2,369 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. A lot of interceptions, but hey, 11 touchdowns, we'll take it. Returning. He's returned once. On punts, he's returned 1 punt for 0 yards. He's returned 20 kickoffs for 489 yards. His longest was 47 yards. That's not terrible. Because what is that? Calculator here. Because I can't do math in my head. 489 yards divided by 20 attempts. It's 24.45 yards an attempt. That's basically a touchback. You'll take that. Defense. He's got 19 tackles. 15 of them are solo, 4 assisted. He's got 1 forced fumble. I don't know what KB means. Kick blocked? Maybe? Pretty sure I've seen him block a kick. Oh, it's got the... Yeah, kicks blocked. Yeah, dude, that's impressive. That is really, really impressive. He's 34. I did not know he was that old. The fact... What 34-year-old running back has rushing stats like that? I know it was against the Browns, but they don't have a bad defense. I mean, they might have given up a little bit. Because I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I didn't love him as an offensive coordinator. I was kind of surprised he became a head coach. And I'm a Vikings fan, but that's just me. So, I mean, what 34-year-old running backs have a 7-carry, 138-yard stat line, 3 touchdowns? You know? Nobody. So, yeah, Taysom Hill for the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I would just say, yeah. Games were crazy. Big corporations always trying to control freedom to the people. Taysom Hill is a Hall of Famer for show. And yeah, Jesus loves you, and thanks for listening. Take care.